Joining me now is Mr. David Harmer. He's the Republican congressional candidate who's taking on the liberal Democrat, Jerry McNerney, in California's 11th Congressional District, which is about 20 miles from San Francisco. So you can orient yourself there to it. And he's a conservative attorney and businessman with a long history of public service, defending taxpayers and promoting the free market. And he's leading. And Mr. Harmer, I have a theory as to why you're leading, and that is that the prevailing winds are keeping the marijuana smoke from San Francisco out of your district.
Mr. G-Man, it is an honor to be with you, and that's a highly plausible theory. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. Now, your dad, John Harmer, was Lieutenant Governor of California under Governor Ronald Reagan, was he not?
He was. So when I say I'm a Reagan Republican, I really mean it. It's not just a matter of temperament or conviction, but of heritage. I knew Governor Reagan, was able to visit with him often as a boy and young man, and loved him.
Well, as did we all, really. Even the liberals are starting to try to claim him now. It's amazing. Now, in the 11th district, unemployment, I understand, is pushing 20%.
That is correct. You don't have to look far to see that the country's been put on the wrong track. But all the indicators that we're on the wrong track nationally are worse in the 11th district. The Obama-Pelosi agenda has saddled us with lower economic growth, higher unemployment, unsustainable deficits, and pervasive pessimism. And the gentleman against whom I'm running supported it every step of the way.
I understand that your opponent, in just the first 2 months of this current Congress, voted for $1.2 trillion in new spending. That's over $1 billion of spending per hour for each of Congress the first 50 days. I mean, that's breathtaking.
Well, the remarkable thing is he's so out of touch, he's still bragging about that. His mailers brag about the pork he's bringing back to the district as if borrowing money we don't have to spend on stuff we can't afford and leaving the bill for our kids is doing anybody a favor. So deservedly, he's losing. If the election were held today, he'd go down. The latest poll has us up 6 points, 48-42.
Well,
but what has me a bit worried is the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, a pernicious organization, knows that one of their most reliable Pelosi rubber stamps is in trouble, so they're putting another $1.5 million into attack ads in the next 2 weeks.
Wow, that's a lot of money. Now, do you have a website where people who are inclined to help you could go and maybe make
We sure do, and your good viewers who would like to help me send Nancy Pelosi a nice big middle finger right here in her backyard can go to harmerforcongress.com. That's HARMERFOR Congress.com. Pitch a bit into the Treasury, and we'll put it to good use.
Well, and I can't think of anything better than to fire Nancy Pelosi. I mean, that woman is dangerous.
Well, there's a lot of competitive congressional seats in the country, but relatively few on the West Coast. And in fact, this is the last true swing district in California. Through gerrymandering, most of the incumbents, Republicans and Democrats, are absolutely safe. But this is our best chance to flip a seat on the West Coast. And again, it's right in Nancy's backyard, so it would send just a lovely signal of extreme dissatisfaction to the madam.
She's a madam, all right. You think of the current House of Representatives, the madam is a fit epithet. Holy smoke. Tell me what it was like visiting with Governor Reagan.
Well, Reagan was in private exactly what he seemed to be in public. He was warm, he was gracious, he was genial, he was sharp as a whip, and always in command. And when I was young, I didn't necessarily get everything that was going on politically, but kids are pretty good judges of human character. And I could tell that Reagan was genuinely more interested in what his barber or his driver thought than he was in what the leaders of the legislature thought. The guy had a gift for authenticity. The more somebody was impressed with himself, the less impressed Reagan was with him. People used to think he was such a dunce because he would just tell these meandering stories and so on. That was his way of showing disrespect. It was a very courteous way of doing it. But if somebody was full of himself, Reagan would just make small talk and chat and kind of babble amiably and get the guy out of there. It was an ingenious way of avoiding commitments or of even avoiding the listening to someone who was too self-important.
And that's really something. Boy, I'm looking at a photograph of you and your family. Your wife is an absolutely stunning California golden girl, and those kids are really, really good looking.
Well, they're a fun crew, and they've been great about the campaign. Obviously, candidacy has kind of torpedoed my soccer coaching career. And, look, when my dad was working with Reagan, it was hard. He was gone all the time, so he missed a lot of important events in my life. Back-to-school nights and Little League games and courts of honor and bedtimes. And, now my kids are making that sacrifice as well. But they understand that just like their Uncle Chris is serving the country in the Navy, this is their opportunity to serve the country by sharing their dad with the freedom fight. And they've been great about it. And my wife, Elaine, is actually Argentine by birth and has just done a phenomenal job for us in recruiting Latino votes. We're actually very close to the incumbent Democrat among Hispanics, which is no small achievement for an unapologetic conservative Republican.
No, I wouldn't think so. But a beautiful woman like your wife speaking their language fluently probably doesn't hurt at all.
It doesn't. It's definitely a big help.
Yeah. Now, what do you think of the Tea Party? Are they helping you?
They've been phenomenal. They're not just supporting me; it's mutual. The Pleasanton Tea Party organized a tax day rally and gave me a primetime speaking slot. And the San Jose Mercury News, not really a conservative rag, estimated the crowd at over 12,000 people.
Oh,
we've had tremendous support from local Tea Parties throughout the district, and the Tea Party is really pretty clear about its positions. They stand for a restoration of a limited government that confines itself to the enumerated powers set forth in the written Constitution that the Founding Fathers gave us as the best guarantee of the liberty they'd fought and in some cases died to bequeath to us. And the Tea Party recognizes that this explosion of federal spending isn't just expensive, it's a threat to our freedom. So I'm proud to have their support and delighted that they're standing up for me, and I'm returning the favor.
Well, speaking of the Constitution, when they were trying to figure out a constitution for the newly freed Iraq, someone suggested sending ours over there to them because we're not using it anymore.
Well, it's a sad commentary. I mean, the first thing a member of Congress does is to take an oath pledging to uphold the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And yet, I would wager that your average Tea Party rally on a street corner has more actual understanding of the constitutional text than your average House committee chairman, which is part of the reason I think the American people are so fed up and really ready to throw the bums out. But for listeners, if any of this resonates with you, this is your campaign too, and I really do need your help. The ship of state is listing badly in very stormy waters. We need all hands on deck. This is one of the most competitive races in the country, and the beauty of it is a contribution here lets us make the DCCC and the other enemies of freedom spend more of their wad on this race so other good conservatives can sneak through elsewhere.
Okay, well, we've just gotten this email in. It says, this is from Joe in San Ramon, California. It says, Gordon, could you ask Mr. Harmer his thoughts on extending the Bush tax cuts? As a small business owner, we are in a hiring freeze until a decision is made regarding this very important issue.
Yeah, those 2001 and 2003 tax cuts shouldn't just be extended temporarily. They should be made permanent. One of the greatest failures of the current Congress is their refusal to do anything about it. I don't know if your listeners know, but effective midnight, December 31st, everybody in the country who pays taxes is going to suffer a tax hike. It's not just the wealthy. Every one of the 6 income tax rates is going up. The marriage penalty is going to reappear in full force. You know, the government's going to penalize you for being married instead of shacking up. The child tax credit's going to get chopped in half. The cap gains tax is going to go up. The death tax is going to spring from 0 to 55%. The tax on dividends and interest is going to go to the top marginal rate, which for, people at the top, entrepreneurs, job creators, means a tripling of that rate. It's going to have a crushing effect on our economy, which is already struggling. So we ought to extend the tax cuts as a prelude to dramatic tax simplification and reduction.
All right. Now, that website is Harmer, 4 F-O-R, Congress. Is it .com or .org?
.com. HarmerForCongress.com. Take a look at some of the videos of our speeches and ads. I think you'll like what you see, and we'd welcome your support.
Well, folks, I urge you to support Mr. Harmer. As he said, there's very precious few on the West Coast that are successfully contesting for seats in the House of Representatives, and they're doing a good job. And Mr. Harmer is doing a particularly good job, and he only needs a little nudge to put him right over the top. So, dig into your pocket, send him something. Harmer4Congress.com. And Mr. Harmer, thank you. I know you're right in the midst of a campaign, and Election Day's approaching. We appreciate your taking the time out from your campaign to be on our show. Thank you, sir.
G-Man, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
God bless.